Hey guys, I am tuning in here with my first ever weekly forecast. So this is going to be a new offering of mine where every single week I report on the celestial weather. And this is going to be under 10 minutes, so you can absorb what you need to know very quickly and ultimately navigate the astrological shifts and dynamics for the coming days. And the other thing to note about these forecasts is I'm going to sync them with the 4 phases of the lunar cycle. So whether I'm reporting on the week of the new moon to the first quarter, or the week of the first quarter to full moon, which is this next week, or the full moon to third quarter, or third quarter back to new moon, there's a lunar energy that's present in each of these phases that I invite you to utilize and work with. And the energy present for the first quarter to full moon phase is really supportive for taking self-initiated action. So what I mean by that is doing something in this external world. I often use this phase to write my blogs, create my social graphics, social media posts where I'm actually physically accomplishing something and asserting myself in the external environment versus, there are other phases of the lunar cycle that are more supportive for going inward, reflecting on our own emotions, and this phase is actually really supportive for taking action. So just keep that in mind if you have a project that you want to get started, or something that needs to be accomplished or requires you doing something. This is a great week to maybe utilize that flow and accomplish some things. So moving into the celestial weather for this upcoming week, there is some dynamic energy taking place with quite a few oppositions. That's the main thing that I want everyone to know about what's going on right now in our solar system, is that there are a lot of planets opposing each other, with the Earth in the center. So what I mean by that, if my head is the Earth, we actually have the Sun and Chiron opposing each other. We have Venus and Uranus opposing each other. And also Pluto and Mars will create an opposition this next week as well. Not necessarily in that arrangement, but if you look at this chart right here, you can see all these red lines throughout the chart. And this energy is really dynamic and can be kind of intense. It's almost like we have a lot of different parts of us that are being activated and opposing other parts of us. And the challenge here is to integrate them, to hear them all out, and to harmonize all of the things that might be coming up in our own experience, our multifaceted experience right now. And so the most significant dynamic to be aware of and to navigate, and I'm going to talk about, is the Sun's opposition with Chiron, the wounded healer in astrology. And this is between Libra, where the Sun is currently at, and Aries, where Chiron is currently at. The Sun in Libra, the overall theme and the overall energy that we're being called to consciously illuminate and focus on is Libra, harmony, cooperation, collaboration. And right now that's kind of opposing a force of the wounded healer in Aries, and it might be calling out some wounded expressions in Aries. And this could kind of look 2 different ways, 2 different angles of a wounded Aries expression. Could be overcompensation of one's own self-importance. Aries is the importance of the self, and the Sun, Libra is the importance of the other. And so we're really reckoning with that, specifically around maybe wounds around our own self-importance that we have. And that can be through overcompensation. If we don't feel important, sometimes that comes out or heard or acknowledged, or if we feel like we're being attacked and we need to be defensive, then that can really come out as like being overly aggressive, maybe exerting ourselves, my way or the highway, competitiveness, needing to prove ourselves unnecessarily, could be a wounded expression from Chiron and Aries. And on the other angle of this, another wounded expression is the victim mentality. You know, the woe is me, everyone's against me, no one understands me kind of side of things, where we then make ourselves small. This Chiron and Aries can kind of like, you know, when things happen in our dynamics and our partnerships where we feel like, you know, we're offended or something triggers us, we want to puff up or we want to get small. That type of dynamic, one way or the other, is an expression of the wounded essence of Aries. And really, the sun in Libra is asking us to state this, you know, I'm important and you're important. And how can we understand each other? How can I know your importance and also know my own importance and create a healthy dynamic and energy exchange between each other? Because that is harmony. That's when we create harmony with one another. And so that's the ultimate theme that's like really going to be alive this next week with this opposition, the power of the sun opposing Chiron. And also the full moon on October 17th is going to be aligned with Chiron as well. So this full moon already kind of brings our emotions out of us and creates a more illuminated inner world and experience. Is just going to highlight Chiron. And so there could just be some wounding coming up in each other. And not only that, but Venus opposing Uranus is this push and pull between the call to bond and relationship and love and then independence and freedom. Uranus doesn't want to cooperate. Uranus is like, I'm better on my own. See you later. And Venus is wanting connection and that bonding with another person. And so how do we integrate these parts of us, the part of us that wants to feel important and maybe doesn't because there's a wounding there, the part of us that wants to cooperate and collaborate with others, the need for relationship, the need for independence. And you know, Mars and Pluto, this opposition taking place between the warrior and the shadow, and you know, maybe someone wanting to exert power over you in order to feel powerful, or where are power dynamics showing up in our relationships and manipulation, things like that. There is definitely the air of conflict present in these dynamics, that if someone were to not necessarily be aware or be able to harmonize all of this energy going on, that we can be really reactive to our emotions, especially with Venus in Scorpio and Mars in Cancer. So my ultimate recommendation for everyone this next week, and just be, you know, have a little bit of compassion for people who maybe aren't aware of it, or you see them reacting from their emotions. The ultimate way to consciously navigate this is to pause. When you're feeling triggered, when you're feeling a wound coming up, when someone offends you and you want to puff up or you want to make yourself small, just pause and ask yourself, okay, why am I feeling this way? You know, kind of come back inside to like, I am important. I know I'm important. That person's important too. How can I listen to them? How can they listen to me? And it doesn't mean to ignore your wounds. It doesn't mean to say, you know, that you have to deal with them on your own. It's actually an opportunity to like maybe bring them to the other person and say, hey, this is coming up for me. How can we navigate this and ultimately strengthen our bond and create more harmony with one another? And then, you know, if we fall into our emotions, if we fall into reactions and someone, you know, has a blowout with anger, then it's really hard to cooperate with them and collaborate when they're living in their emotions. So really just pay attention and take that moment and make sure you're approaching other people from a place of level-headedness, and to advocate for your emotions and not react from them. There's also two other dynamics taking place. Jupiter just stationed retrograde in Gemini, which I have a whole video about that you can watch to learn about that. And I'll also be sharing more in the coming week about Pluto stationing direct in Capricorn, moving back into Aquarius. So that's going to be a shift this next week as well. But really, that's the main thing I want you to take into this next week. And if you're curious, you want to know more about what's going on for you specifically, I definitely have some ways to work directly with me via personal reading or recording, and you can check out those resources below. But thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you on the next weekly forecast next week.